Happy New Year. Um, I am very excited to be here with you. Happy 2024. And yeah, I've got people waiting on this. So thank you for joining me. And I am Sarah Mislowski with KeyPoint Homes Group, helping you move to Georgia. Happy New Year's, Anthony. So if you are joining us, please say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. And of course, any questions about the real estate market in 2024, we're going to answer those today and talk about all the good stuff. Um, yeah, I am thankful and happy to leave the real estate market of 2023 behind and head into 2024. I think this year is going to be so much fun. And I think there's a lot of great opportunity ahead for buyers and sellers. And I think it's a great time if you are thinking about making a move to Georgia or anywhere, not anywhere, maybe not a great time, anywhere, but there's a lot of places where it's a great time to buy or sell. So let me know what your questions are or your thoughts, comments, opinions. Let's see here. I am going to work on pulling something up in the background that I didn't have a chance to get through. But I'm curious. Say hello. Where are you watching from? And I would love to know if you have any real estate questions for this year. Okay. Let's talk about some things that you need to know going into 2024. So if you are on the fence and if you're thinking about making a move or you have a move planned for 2024, these are things that you need to know. We've got Perline watching from Delray Beach. That sounds nice right now. It is cold here today in Georgia, like bitterly cold. It was a high of like 39 today, and that's a very, very cold day for here in Georgia. Lone One, who was telling me it was time to go live, is watching from the great state of Florida. And I'm curious, are you interested in moving from Florida? We have a lot of clients that we help from Florida for a lot of different reasons. But most often what I hear is that although the weather is great, it's really, really hot. Insurance cost, all those things, having to deal with natural disasters and hurricanes, all those things. So, but everyone that we have helped move here from Florida, knock on wood, has been extremely happy that they have moved to Georgia and they have not regretted it. So I am sure one day I'm going to help a client that's going to move here and they're not going to like it, but I don't know. I'll see how long my streak can continue. All right. So let's just get into it. What do you need to know about 2024? So this is what you need to know. Home sales are going to go up and so are the prices. So if you're one of those that were waiting for the market to crash in 2023 and you kind of saw what happened, it didn't crash. Home sales slowed, but home prices, especially here in the metro Atlanta area, definitely did not go down. So in 2024, we are definitely going to see that home prices are still going to continue to go up and home sales are going to go up as well. So this is what the economists from 3 different big home buying agencies are predicting of how many units, how many homes are going to sell compared to 2023 and 2024. So you can see that Fannie Mae is expecting it to be kind of like the same as 2023. We're going to see almost 4.8 million home sales. MBA is predicting that it's going to be a little bit higher, 5.2 million units, and National Association of Realtors is predicting 5.5 million units of sales as well. So that is going to be higher than what we saw in 2023, which is 4.8 million homes that were sold. So the reason that we know that home prices are the home sales are going to go up is that interest rates are coming down, right? So that is a piece of good news. And because there's going to be more home sales, there's going to be more competition. So this is the estimated home price performance over the next 4 years. So you see that home prices are going to increase over the next 4 years. And you're going to see that this is a healthy, moderate pace of home appreciation over the next 4 years. And this looks drastically different than what we experienced in 2020, 2021, that the homes, we're seeing 15, 20% year over year home price appreciation. And now we're looking at 3 to 4% home price appreciation year over year. And that is more of a normal, healthy market, which is what we want to see. So, two things you can count on: home prices are going to go up. So, waiting is not going to save you money unless your financial situation is going to improve. And then, you can expect that you're going to make a good investment. You're going to see your equity increase year over year. So, this is what you can expect. And as you're thinking about either renting, like Perlene is saying that you're thinking about renting a year before you buy, there is some opportunity cost, right, in renting. So, you're looking at homes being 3% higher in 2025 on average. Now, here in the Metro Atlanta area, home prices appreciated 6% year over year compared to last year. Some areas it was 10%. So, depending upon what area you're looking to move to, that home prices could be 5 to 10% more expensive in 2025. And so, if you think about the cost of renting, not only are you renting and essentially not getting that money back, but then you're also looking at facing higher home price a year later. Now, that opportunity cost could very well be worth it if it's going to ensure that you are for sure or totally unsure where you want to be, and that you use that time to really identify exactly what area you want to be. So maybe paying $10,000 more for a house a year later is okay because you have that peace of mind and you really know where you want to be. Again, those are great opportunity costs and things to kind of weigh out and balance as you're looking at what's ahead in 2024. So I'm curious to kind of see what you think about that, and if that's something that you are considering. Now, so we know that home prices are going to go up, home sales are going to go up. What else can we expect in 2024? Well, I talked about this just a minute ago, is that interest rates are going to come down. So that is good news for buyers, and it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. So right now, interest rates are in the mid upper sixes for a lot of buyers. And this is what we are predicting for the first quarter in 2024. We're in the first quarter right now, January, February, March. Interest rates are going to hold a little bit steady, and then you can kind of see that they're slowly going to trickle down throughout the year. So if you're looking at this chart, you may think, hey, if I'm thinking about buying in 2024, maybe I should just wait until October, November, December of this year, because that's when interest rates are predicted to be their lowest. And I would say that with a caveat is, if that's the time that you can move, and that's the time that works best for your family based upon jobs or relocation schedules, whatever, that's going to be a great perk for you. The challenge that I foresee happening this year that we're going to experience, and that's going to be expecting more multiple offer situations. So, although there might be some savings in your interest rate, which will make the mortgage payment a little bit better, that making the mortgage payment a little bit better may not mean anything if you are having to pay $10,000 more, $20,000 more for that house because of the increase in demand. So, it's one of those things where I would encourage you that if you have the ability to buy a house sooner rather than later, there's a lot of opportunity to take advantage of right now during this first quarter of the year that you're just not going to have in the latter part of this year. So another thing that I'm working with clients to factor in as we're taking a look at all these different options is that that you're likely going to be in a situation where a year from now, 2 years from now, you're going to want to refinance your loan. So you're going to take advantage and get some big savings down the road by refinancing and locking in a lower interest rate. So if you know that you're going to do that, you're likely only going to be saving money for just a small amount of time period if you were to buy later in the year and take advantage of the lower interest rates later in the year. Um, and that it may not financially make that much sense if home prices are going to be higher or you can't negotiate as much later in the year. Does that make sense? I hope I'm kind of communicating that in the right way. Um, so I anticipate that you can expect more multiple offers in 2024, especially the later that we get into the year, and especially in the lower price point homes. So homes 300, 400,000. Yeah, you can expect to have some competition. And so my advice to you would be that if you are going to be in a multiple offer situation, you really got to make sure that you understand what all of your available options are to strategize and use leverage where you can. So there's a lot of great things that you can do to make your offer competitive, that doesn't necessarily involve the price that you may want to consider. So um, let's see here. Another thing that you need to expect in 2024 is that builders to pull back on incentives. So right now, if you look at the real estate landscape in Metro Atlanta, and I'm sure maybe where you live, you might have builders offering really great incentives as well. But in some areas of Metro Atlanta, kind of like the eastern side of Metro Atlanta, South Metro Atlanta, builders are offering really great incentives for buyers right now to buy a house. And what those incentives look like is a decreased interest rate. So a permanent 30-year fixed rate mortgage for 5.99%. I had one builder offering 5.3%. In addition to offering a low interest rate, they were also offering closing costs between $10,000 to $20,000. So that pretty much takes care of all of your closing costs and you're locking in a great interest rate. And so what that means for you as a buyer is that as interest rates come down, you don't have to worry about refinancing because you already have a really great interest rate that you're locking in and you're taking advantage of that savings every single month. As buyers enter the market and as interest rates slowly start to trickle down, builders are not going to have to offer those incentives anymore to get their homes under contract. So if you are thinking about making a move, and you have the ability to act a little bit sooner, I think there's some great opportunities right now in new construction. And gosh, it just, there's, I had a buyer that did not take advantage of that 5.3% interest rate. And I was like, oh, I feel like you're making a mistake. And yet, all things happen for a reason and it has to be, right for you on your time. But someone else took advantage of that great incentive and they got that home under contract. Liz says, Happy New Year to you too. Hoping this is the year I'll be moving to Georgia, freezing in New England. Oh, I wish I could say that I'm sure it's warmer here today, but yeah, any day when it's in the 30s here is like incredibly cold. And we need all the soups and fires and everything. But, tomorrow it'll be back up in the 50s. But yeah, I could not deal with snow. So expect those builders to pull back on incentives. I think we might return to a more normal incentive where a builder might offer $5,000 towards closing costs, $2,500 towards closing costs, and maybe some blinds for the house. But they're definitely not going to offer the really great incentives that you have right now. So that's going to trickle down. Now, a caveat about this. Don't expect to find these new construction incentives in areas like Cumming or Alpharetta. Those are super competitive for new builds, and there's just not a whole lot of new build inventory there. So builders don't have to offer these really amazing incentives. They may still offer a few $1,000s towards closing costs or maybe money towards upgrades, but they're not doing like these really amazing incentives that you might see in other parts of Metro Atlanta. So this all kind of depends on exactly where you're looking. So as we're talking through this, if y'all have any questions, about the housing market or making a move. I saw someone pop a question in there about renting, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, I'd love to know what questions or what thoughts you may have on the real estate market here in 2024. So another thing that I want you to be prepared for and expect is that there's still not going to be enough inventory in 2024. It amazes me right now when I go to pull up houses to show clients that we're currently working with and helping make the move here. And, we go to put in their search criteria and look at their options that are available, and there's just not a whole lot available. Not as much as what there usually is. So most areas that we serve is down between 20 to 30% comparatively to last year. And so what that means for you is less available homes to choose from. And for the buyers that are out there, it still creates, and that's why you see home prices holding pretty steady and continuing to rise. So I am anticipating that there is going to be a little bit of an influx of inventory because of the fact that these interest rates are coming down. Would-be sellers that have really amazing interest rates, they're going to look at and kind of compare what they're making on their home versus their new interest rate of what they'd have to pay. And they might think, hey, this is not, yes, it's going to cost me more, but it's not going to be as bad as what I thought, or like how it would have been in 2023. So let's go ahead and make the move. You're going to see more local sellers put their homes on the market. Whereas right now, a lot of times we are only seeing people put their homes on the market. They're getting divorced. Maybe they have to have a bigger house because they're combining families, a marriage, moving, job relocations, unfortunately, deaths. Those are the reasons that we are seeing people put their homes on the market right now. A lot of other people that would decide to sell in a normal market just because, hey, they saw a new construction home that they really love and that they want, or they want to be closer to their job and they don't want to commute as far. Typically, those people would make a move. Those people aren't, because they have an interest rate of like 3-4%, and they're looking at an interest rate of 6.5-7.5%. That's a big difference in their monthly payment, and that for a lot of clients wipes out a lot of equity that they have. So that is something to consider, is that the impact of not having enough inventory, what that means for you as a buyer is going back to that multiple offer situation, increased competition. You're not going to be able to think about a home for very long. You're going to have to act a little bit faster. I don't have this in here, but I think another thing that you should know, and I sound like a broken record, and you might be tired of hearing me say this, but again, if you have the ability to make a move sooner in the year, I would definitely encourage you to try to do that, because it's going to save you money. So it's not uncommon right now in the market to see a home last a little bit longer on the market, or it's also not uncommon to have a seller overprice their house a little bit. And so you see these homes sitting on the market a little bit longer, 30, 60 days on the market, and those are the prime opportunities that you have to negotiate a really good deal. And so I'll share with you the story of a client that's going to close next week on their house. And this is the best deal that I've seen all in like a year and a half. We got his home under contract. This house had been on the market for like 90, 100 days, and the seller kept dropping the price. And so we come in and we offer even below what they had recently just dropped the price to, $15,000 less than that. So we got this home under contract for $500,000. It was listed at $515,000 after they continually dropped the price over the past couple of months. So the buyer is under contract for $500,000. We get the appraisal back, and the appraisal came back at $560,000. So this buyer is walking into this transaction with $60,000 in instant equity. That is a lot. So there's great opportunity out there in the market right now, but that opportunity to kind of get these types of deals is definitely going to kind of be out the window in the next couple of months. So this is the best opportunity that you have if you need seller paid closing costs, if you want to buy down the interest rate, to negotiate that with the seller. So I would strongly encourage you, again, Let's let's talk about it. If you are watching and you're like, hey, yeah, we thought about moving, but we thought fall was going to be the right time for us, but we could move earlier. Let's talk and let's see if it's the right situation for you. It may not be the right situation for you. What you may be looking for may not be possible to find. So that is definitely something for you to consider. Lone One Trident said, what are your thoughts on Roswell? Roswell is a great area. It is definitely dense. So you have lots of people, lots of neighborhoods, lots of shopping and amenities and great parks, lots of neighborhoods with little lakes. And that 560, 500 deal that I just told you about actually happened in Roswell. So great town. And one thing that you can expect to see with houses in Roswell is because it is closer into Atlanta, it is a very well-established town. So not hardly any land left to develop. So you're not going to see hardly any new construction homes there. If you do, they're going to be very expensive, or it's going to be a townhome option. So you're going to see a lot of older homes, 70s, 80s, 90s houses. Some of these have been updated and some of them have not. So just keep in mind that the closer you are into Atlanta, the more expensive homes are going to be. And even if you have homes in your price range, you may be sorely disappointed at what those options look like whenever you see them in person. If we're not friends on Instagram or TikTok, go add me. Just search my name and you'll find me, or Moving to Georgia will pop up. But I just showed pictures of a house that I actually showed to those same clients that we got the great deal on for 500. We saw a house in Peachtree Corners for 450, and the pictures online, it seemed like an okay house. When we went there, y'all, oh my gosh, the master bathroom was absolutely terrible, and they had a furnace upstairs, but it was like in a hallway, and the way that you access the furnace was a door turned sideways. So it's like literally you had the door handle down by the baseboard and you pulled the door up and inside was the furnace. There's just a lot of weird, quirky things about this house. It also needed a lot of updating, and the pictures made it look way better than what it actually is. And, this was a great example of, yeah, you can get a house for 450 closer into Atlanta in around these kind of great suburbs, but it's not going to be in the best condition, or it may have a lot of quirks. So something to keep in mind. All right. Also, what areas have homes that don't have basements? I'm not a fan of basements. Some are scary. So that's funny. I get a lot of clients that we help, and I, have conversations with you on the phone, and we talk about what are some of the things you like and don't like about a house. And, sometimes people will say just this, they don't want a home with a basement. And I have to explain that, y'all, here in Georgia, all of our basements are walkout basements, meaning you're going to have windows and doors. And so if you're in a finished basement, you might have one room or two that might be a little scary or basement-like, but there's a lot of great homes that have like really great family rooms and second kitchens and bathrooms and bedrooms downstairs in the basement that are just another part of the house. So don't completely rule it out. But I will say there's only about, I'd say 30% of the homes here have basements. So in Georgia, the only way for them to build a house with a basement is if the home sits on a sloped lot or a slanted lot. So we still have a lot of lots here that are slab lots where it's just, you would have to like dig in and dig a basement in a hole. And they don't build basements like that here. It has to be a walkout basement with windows and doors walking out into the backyard. So we still have a ton of homes here that are not on basements. You also asked about HOAs. So we are going to have a great video coming up about HOAs. There are a lot of neighborhoods in the Metro Atlanta area with HOAs. You can find homes not in an HOA. And it might be one of those situations where you might be a little bit disappointed about what that gets you or what's next door. So I was speaking with a client earlier today, and they called me to get more information about this $1 million house, which looked amazing online. And she was like, I just don't understand why this home has not sold yet. It's been on the market for a while. And I understand that y'all don't look at as many homes as what I look at day in and day out, but I noticed something in the picture. And I told her, she was actually in town. I said, have you driven by this house? I said, I really want you to drive by it. Because they liked it because it wasn't in an HOA. It was just off the side of the road. But I could tell that in the corner of that aerial view that they had taken of this house, that maybe the neighbors weren't quite so great. So it looked kind of run down, looked junky, looked like there were several mobile homes nearby, like right next to the property. And I'm not to say that mobile homes are terrible, but when you have $1 million house, it's not going to hold its value the same way when it's next to mobile homes that have a lot of stuff in their yard. So those are some of the weird quirks that you might have to be okay with if you don't want to be in a neighborhood with an HOA. Now, there's also plenty of other neighborhoods that don't have HOAs that are still fine and decent. They're just a little bit harder to find, or you have to be a little bit more open. So you can find it. Alan asked, how's the inventory in Swanee these days? Not good, Alan. We're down about 30% compared to last year. Home prices are up about 10% in Swanee compared to last year. So this is one thing that I think I want everyone to kind of consider for 2024. Sometimes I feel like instead of waiting for the perfect house or waiting for, not saying this is what you're doing, but waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right house, the right price point to come up. Sometimes if you are wanting to move to a new area, it is best to just buy what you can, make the house into it what you want, live in it for a couple of years, and then sell it, get the equity out of that, and then go buy the home that you really want. Sometimes the cost, the opportunity cost of sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting, you could end up pricing yourself out of being in an area that you really want to be in. And you also lose out on all that wealth that you could have been building while you were living in a house. So, sometimes I have clients that want to be in a specific area, but they're disappointed with the homes that are there, or they're disappointed with prices, obviously, and they don't really want to consider other more affordable areas nearby. And they think that waiting is going to make the situation better. And unfortunately, it is not here in the metro Atlanta area. Things might be different in a market that you're doing. And I say that from a place of not wanting to make a sale, but I just want to help y'all make the best decision possible, because there's nothing worse than coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? And I know hindsight's 2020, but if you wait a couple of years and you look back and you're like, well, dang, if I would have bought that house, maybe put new carpet, new paint into it, done a little bit of sweat equity, I could have, been in the dream place that I wanted to be, and could have sold it a couple of years later and made $50,000. I'm not saying that's going to happen to everybody, but, some things to consider. And, but Swanee still remains a very great place to be. Great schools, great parks, lots of good things around, good location. And you have a lot of older houses there. One thing that has been groundbreaking here in the metro Atlanta area is Trader Joe's just announced that they are building a store in Alpharetta. And so those of you that live in other places with the Trader Joe, like right around the corner, bless you. But here in the metro Atlanta area, we have like 3 or 4 Trader Joe's, and they're all like in Atlanta. There's one in Marietta. I say in Atlanta, like you got to fight through a lot of traffic. There's one in Marietta. Athens has one, which that's unfair. They're a college town. But surprisingly, like out of all the areas that I cover here on the channel, there's not a Trader Joe's, or you have to drive like 30, 40 minutes. So that's a big deal. So if you're looking to be in Cumming, Dawsonville, Buford, Swanee area, that's going to be a really close Trader Joe's for y'all. So that's exciting. Do you have a favorite food from Trader Joe's? I always get very overwhelmed because I see all these TikToks and posts on social media about everyone's Trader Joe's favorite foods, and I go in there. It's kind of like for me going to IKEA. I think it's a great idea and I want to buy all the things. And then I get in there and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to get. And I get overwhelmed and I walk away with like one thing. Um, but one Trader Joe's item that I have found that I really, really love is their frozen croissants, chocolate croissants. Have y'all had those? So every single year, my aunt gifts us frozen croissants from Williams Sonoma. And they come freeze dried, not freeze dried, in a, what's that called? Dry ice in a little freezer thing. These are the best chocolate croissants. But the downside is that you have to take them out the night before so that they can rise and puff up, and then you bake them. So it takes like 8 hours for them to rise, but they are so good. And they're expensive. And so it was like a once a year treat that we would look forward to every year. And then someone told me that Trader Joe's has frozen chocolate croissants, and they come 4 to a box for like $4. So cheap. They taste exactly like the expensive ones from Williams Sonoma, and they're so convenient. So what went to like a once a year treat, now I have them like year round. So good and not so good. But that's my favorite thing from Trader Joe's. Lone One likes the turkey meatballs. I'll have to try that. I have tried the dumplings too, the frozen dumplings. I saw those on TikTok and those are good. Liz went to Cumming for 3 days. My aunt and uncle's house basement is really nice. I love it. And it's attached to a 2-car garage, but the hill they are on is no joke. It is huge. Can't imagine if you got ice. So that's funny. We do have some very steep driveways here. It's not all basement homes have really steep driveways, but some are like very steep. Yeah, there's some houses that I would be like, no way, Jose, never would I live there. So yeah, that does happen. The thing about ice though here in Metro Atlanta is that if there is ever ice like that, everything shuts down. So you're not going anywhere. Your kids aren't going to school. School buses aren't coming to pick up your kids. Schools close whenever we do get ice. So it's only, 1 day out of the year, if even that. But yeah, I would not chance it. I had a client that was interested in a house that was on a very steep hill, and it was so scary. Like I didn't even want to drive my car up. So I parked it down there at the bottom and I hiked up the driveway to get to the house. And once you were up there, it was like a nice flat level lot, but man, that driveway was really steep. And the walk down was very precarious. Had like a little bit of a heel on, and had to kind of like sideways step my way down that driveway. So I it's one of those things where now that we've experienced more clients being so shocked by these driveways, we've gotten a lot better at taking video of these driveways, so we can include them in videos. So you can see like how bad it is that we're talking about, and then like what a normal slope driveway looks like. A Kentucky bourbon pound cake. They have those at Trader Joe's. I'd like to try that. I did get the Danish Kringle that I saw that everyone was talking about. It was okay. It's very sweet. I really like the coffee cake from Publix. I think those are a little bit better, but wasn't that thrilled with that selection. But a Kentucky bourbon pound cake, that would be great. Alan, can you speak on any new multi-purpose developments coming this year in Northeast Atlanta? Yes. I don't know that they're going to be open this year, but things are progressing and in the works for a huge outdoor development, South Cumming, South Forsyth, North Alpharetta, called The Gathering. And that, if it all pans out, they're building like an arena, which they hope to attract a sports team, like an NHL team, and they want to have concerts and an outdoor shopping area, very much going to look like the Battery over in Marietta, which is just outside the Brave Stadium. That's kind of the vibe and the feel. It's a live, work, play situation that they're going for. That would be huge if that actually finishes making its way through planning, zoning, and development. It's like halfway through that process. there are 2 live, work, play situations that are approved and they've broken ground, kind of like in the North Gwinnett, South Hall area. So Brazelton area of Gainesville. And those are going to have apartments, outdoor shopping, restaurants, neighborhoods. That's supposed to be really great as well. So they haven't announced any retailers. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Right now, they were showing pictures of saying that they wanted it to be like the Avalon is in Alpharetta. I'm a little bit skeptical if they're going to be able to pull that off in that area, but man, that would be nice. Ryan said, visited Dawson Grove today. What's experience with asking builders to modify buildable plans? I know they don't like to, but can we hire a contractor to modify as they build? What a great question. So, no and no. uh, a lot of builders will not modify those plans at all. And the reason is that you have builders, they buy all their material ahead of time and it's already pre-planned out. Their contractors that they're using, their subcontractors don't have the ability to make those kind of adjustments without it like really delaying the project. So most builders don't. There are some builders that will. So this isn't all builders, but they will not let you make any modifications to that home until the home is yours. So a good example is that we just had some buyers go under contract on a new construction home that the builder had already started. And this is a spec house. And so they weren't building it from scratch. And this is a builder that will allow you to make some cosmetic choices and changes in the home. But because we bought it at the stage that we were buying it, some parts of the process were already done or already selected. So the house is in framing stage. They haven't put up drywall yet. And these clients wanted to put an electrical outlet in the bathroom for a bidet that goes on the toilet. And this builder didn't put a outlet in there. So again, remind you, they haven't put up the drywall yet. Like it's still really easy to go in there because everything's exposed. And this builder is adamant that we cannot go in and change that because they'll have to get the electrician back out there, added cost. It would delay everything else. It would, cause all these problems. And so we were like, well, hey, can we just pay an electrician to go in there right now and add that outlet in? No, they will not let you do anything because of liability, because the home's not yours, yada, yada, yada. So incredibly frustrating. So the answer almost 90% of the time is no, unless you're dealing with a semi-custom home builder or a builder like Toll Brothers, something like that. Sometimes they'll allow you to like move a doorway or things like that, but big major structural changes, they mostly don't. So that is something to consider. All right. So I think, let me scroll back up here. Someone had a question about rentals. Oh yeah, lone one you did. What areas have the lowest rent in Atlanta? You're definitely going to see lower home prices and lower rental rates on the south side of Atlanta versus the north side. Primarily, that is because there's less development on the south side of Atlanta, a little bit less demand than there is on the north side. There's a lot more jobs and shopping and amenities and activities and the baseball team and everything kind of like on the north side of Atlanta. And one of the things that I get asked a lot is questions about helping people rent a house. And weirdly, the market has really changed over the past couple of years for rentals. So, and I know that we all look on Zillow for homes. And if you have a house to rent, you can now go to Zillow and directly list that house for rent on Zillow, which is what everyone looks for real estate on. Before, the only way to get your home rental to show up on Zillow was to list that through a real estate agent. So years ago, 90% of rentals used to get listed by real estate agents. They were put into our MLS system, and that's how they would show up on Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever. Now that property management companies can go directly and list them themselves on Zillow, 90% of the time that's what they do, and they don't list them on the MLS system anymore. So what that means for you as a consumer, as a buyer, is that because you now have the ability to reach out directly to these property management companies and these owners of these homes that are listed for rent on Zillow, they don't want to deal with real estate agents anymore. There's not a whole lot of money on the leasing side here in Georgia for real estate, for rental properties. So usually there's like a couple $100s that gets paid out. And because property management companies work so hard to filter out all those applicants and help people get into a home, they really don't want to share that money with another person. So if you have a real estate agent helping you try to find a rental, they would much rather deal with you directly. And so, if I called and left a message for something that you found on Zillow and said, "Hey, this is Sarah with Keller Williams. I have a client that's interested in this house. Please call me back." If you called and left that same message, they're going to call you back faster than what they're going to call me back because they don't want to deal with me. They just want to deal directly with you. So rental companies, property management companies, they want to deal directly with you, not with a real estate agent. And so I want y'all to have a really great experience. So I have some really great resources that I can email out to you that will help you find and search for rentals, and you're not going to have much help using a real estate agent. Now, I do want to help you and stay in touch and help answer your questions as you move here, and be a great resource for you and help you whenever you decide where you want to live. But unfortunately, if I helped you find a rental, it just would not be a good experience for you. All right. Yes, the airport is on the south side of Atlanta. So that's one of the benefits of being on the south side of Atlanta is that you're really close to the airport and you don't have to like drive through the traffic to get there. Because it can be a beast sometimes getting from the north side of Atlanta to the south side where the airport is whenever you want to travel to go to the airport. So sometimes that drive can be an hour and sometimes it can be an hour and 45 minutes, depending upon all the crazies out there. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. All right. So if you have not already liked and subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. That helps me and helps you see all the videos that we post. And so if you're just joining us for the first time, every single Sunday, we put out a video that helps educate you on what's going on in the real estate market. If you're interested more in kind of like the Metro Atlanta market and what's happening in 2024, this past Sunday, just put out a video on what I'm predicting. I go into a little bit more detail in depth of what we talked about today. But if I can help you make a move or if you have any questions, my contact information is directly below this video. So call, send me a text, email, go to my website, however you want to get in contact with me. I would love to help you out. Sometimes we work with clients that they're not moving for a whole year, but we can save you some valuable time, money, information by answering your questions now and kind of talking through that a little bit more and planning that. So that is definitely something for us to talk sooner rather than later if you are planning on making a move. Justina, sorry. Are Snellville and Marietta good to live in? They are very great areas and they're very different. So Marietta is definitely a lot more crowded and a lot more condensed. It's a great place. My grandparents live there and I grew up going over there. My mom and sister live over there now. And so, yeah, it's great. And it's also really crowded, a lot of traffic, but you have everything that you could ever need over there. And so some people like the feel of Marietta and some people feel like it's too much. And so Snellville, on the other hand, is going to feel a lot smaller, but still you're really in great commuting distance to a lot of other bigger towns. So I think you're going to find home prices are a little bit more affordable and more options in Snellville than what you have in Marietta, because Marietta is a little bit competitive and home prices there are a little bit higher as well. So great question. All right. Well, if you have any additional questions that we did not get to tonight, please reach out to me directly. I would love to help you. Again, you can call, email, text, go to my website, however you want to get in touch with me. Please subscribe and we will see you next week for the live stream Wednesday, answering your questions again. And check out the video that's going to come out this Sunday, and hopefully it's going to answer even more questions for you. See y'all later. Happy New Year.